Good afternoon, and welcome back to our Guild Wars 2 personal story playthrough as we get very close to the end of Heart of Thorns. So we've, wrapped up the whole kind of story arc involving the egg and everything. That was taken care of a while ago. And we put Caithe off to the side, and that's for the best, hopefully for the foreseeable future. It won't be as long as I would like, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to Season 3. What we're looking at right now is closing the gap between us and Mordremoth and taking the fight to Mordremoth, and that's what we are going to move towards right now. We are only 2 instances away from completing Heart of Thorns. I don't necessarily know that we'll complete them both today because both of them are in fact quite long. If we do complete them both today, then we will need to split them into 2 videos, more than likely. So we'll see how that works out.
I wonder if Zojja or Logan knows anything about the dragon's weakness, since they've been with the Mordrem this long.
I have to say, I'm still a little surprised you'd consider that, instead of just trying to bash it with your mace.
I'm not counting that out either.
Those 2 might know something, but we have to save them first. And to do that, we need to catch up with the rest of the team.
So we get that little reminder there that Zojja, Logan, and Traherne are all still held captive by Mordremoth's forces, and so that as we close in on Mordremoth, we are still hoping to recover them in some way, shape, or form, right?
Time to do some real damage. Tribute.
Alright, so we got Ritlock, Casimir, Marjorie, and Rox somewhere. There's Rox joining us now. So we got the group back together.
We weren't able to go much further without some help. It's a good thing you arrived. What did you find in Rotanovis?
Their research indicates Mordremoth has a vulnerability. We only have to discover it.
Then let's stop wasting our breath. We have friends to save and a weakness to find.
Ah, it's good to be back with you, Ritlock. I like the way Tribunes think.
Rox, we're on you.
So beyond Bram's affinity for Ritlock, there is quite a bit philosophically, quite a bit of common ground between the Norn and the Char. And that is evident in a number of places throughout the game, honestly.
You should know I'm not all smile.
Feel the fury.
Yeah, there he is. I thought we were missing one. Rox just ran off ahead, like she ain't worried about nothing. She's just gonna go ahead and head on up there.
Dragging Zojja, Logan, and Traherne all this way, so close to its power. Do you think Mordremoth knew we would follow? Just keep your eyes open. We don't want to get boxed in.
So in fairness, the commander is like notorious for walking into traps. One of many undesirable traits that the commander possesses.
Feel the power of the jungle dragon.
And Rox has taken point on this because she's like she's the one following the trail, right? The trail of Logan, Zojja, and Traherne.
Feel the fury.
Looks like the path splits ahead.
We don't have time to try both. If one's a dead end...
Yeah, we can't lose anyone else.
Kaz, scout ahead. We'll clear the next patrol and meet you at the fork in the road.
Right away.
So imagine what the story would be like if one of these paths was in fact like completely counterproductive or in fact destroyed the commander, and the other one was the correct path. Like, wouldn't that be something? But not very satisfying for a video game, right? Because we don't like.
Any sign of Casimir?
Don't worry. She has a knack for popping in right when you're talking about her. Perfect timing.
What did you see?
I found them both, but they're heavily guarded.
Are they alive?
I couldn't tell. That trail leads to Logan, the high road to Zojja. Your orders, Commander?
All right, so we get a choice here. It is honestly we're gonna see how it's kind of a irrelevant choice, or in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really matter that much. Obviously, as a human character, we know Logan much better than we know Zojja. In fact, honestly, because we are a human character and because of the way the story plays out, and, because we didn't do the story paths for the dungeons as part of our story playthrough, which I really didn't have like a ton of interest in, we don't know Zojja that well at all. So I suppose we'll go for Logan. It makes sense for our character. At the end of the day, it just doesn't matter. Like it truly. I would love to say it matters somehow, but it does not. So I'm going after Logan.
Marjorie and Canuck, you're with me. You four head for Zojja, and keep an eye out for Traherne.
What if we're too late?
Burn the bodies.
Marjorie and Canuck are with me. Why did we split Marjorie and Casimir? I mean, not that. I mean, so from like a military standpoint, their relationship should be immaterial to the mission, but we have no indication here that there's any tactical gain by splitting them, or that there's any tactical liabilities by keeping them together. In fact, if anything, you would think that there might be some tactical advantage to them being side by side. Who knows? Who knows, man? I don't know if the studio gave that any thought at all, or if it was something completely different that they were thinking about when they put that part together. No idea. And probably not a probably not a big deal in the grand scheme of things. Oop, I'm going down. Okay, we should be able to take this guy down. They do seem to love their flamethrower type adversaries. Right, they got a few of them. The Flame Legion has an adversary that does something similar as well. I seem to recall at least one more adversary that just shoots like a giant plume of fire as part of their attack. However you want to say that. Their tool set includes big fire things. These guys are rough. Desolators are frustrating foes. Because of this, they just they have invulnerability, and during that invulnerability, they attack and they attack and they attack. So you gotta take them down when they take a knee like that. And then they're extremely squishy. I just didn't dodge long enough. Some active defenses, like if you were a Mesmer and you did like the whole, in Mesmer, I forget what it's called, but Mesmer has that invulnerability thing. That would be like the ticket while they're going on their big attack. I did a very poor job of mitigating their attack. And Axe 2 has such a long windup. I always hit another skill before I'm done casting Axe 2 and cancel it out. Extremely stupid. But I'm a bad ranger these days. I used to be pretty solid on range. These days, not so much so. I play Reaper almost. I've never been one to have like a main class. I definitely have stronger classes and weaker classes. But these days, if I'm playing like any sort of challenging content, it's almost exclusively on Reaper. Even after Reaper really kind of fell out of favor in terms of being considered a strong class, I guess the new...
Logan?
This is Logan, by the way. That's him right there. I guess the new or the upcoming bounce patch is gonna buff Reaper heavily. That's the impression I'm under.
The others. Zojja.
We're getting you out.
The darkness. I didn't know where to stand. It was lifting me.
You're safe now. Can you walk?
Did the Mordrem let anything slip about the dragon? A weak spot? No. Nothing.
Marjorie, steady him and meet up with us. Canuck and I are going ahead to find the others.
Don't want to leave the plant with the plant food, Commander.
I just enjoy your company, Canuck.
I don't blame you. Lead on, then.
Oh, lucky for us, a bridge formed right here. So we don't have to look that hard. We can see Bram and Ritlock from here. So I don't know what we were expecting Logan to know as far as the dragon's weakness. Like, you know, Canuck's like, did they let anything slip? Like, were there going to be two Mordrem standing around like, hey, man, like, I sure love being Mordrem, but it's a shame that Mordremoth has this giant weakness. I don't know if you heard about it. Like, that wasn't going to be a thing. It's really in the phrasing, right? Because it's completely feasible that Logan might have had some sort of observation.
Zojja?
They stopped us. We didn't make it yet.
Caithe. What's she doing here?
We found her tracking Fowlin, and then were waylaid by this group of Mordrem protecting that twisted branch.
Fowlin's here too?
Whatever that thing is, it's not Fowlin. I came to put it out of its misery.
Get in line.
Behind me, too.
No time to argue. We have to get Zojja. Bram, she makes one wrong move. You put her down.
Ooh.
With pleasure. Hand over the daggers, traitor.
Zojja.
They're everywhere.
These cursed trees. That's why Zojja and Logan were brought here.
So essentially, these are little Zojja clones, if you will. They have some interesting dialogue. Right now, they're saying burn, 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 and then they say burn us. So there is a like weird little degree of you know, self-awareness within these that remains from Zojja. Now, that's not to say Zojja's dead. We'll see that here in a minute, but it is interesting. If you're trying to play the easiest path, the little Zojja clones are slightly harder than the Logan clones. These days, it shouldn't really matter that much with power creep and so forth, but
She's unconscious.
We must have been too late. She's much worse than Logan.
You found him?
They did indeed.
Logan, I knew they couldn't make mulch out of you.
Ritlock. You came back. Where were you?
Oh, learning a thing or two here and there in the mists. You know, typical jumping into a rift sort of thing.
Anything to help me kill this dragon?
Why don't you let us handle that? This team, they're as good as we ever were.
Isn't this touching? Destiny's Edge reunited at last. Zojja, you're looking well.
Fowlin.
It isn't Fowlin. Mordremoth is behind those eyes.
Whoever it is about to be put in a grave.
You'll have to catch me first.
Let's go.
Kaz, take Zojja and Logan and portal them out of here. Rox, go with. Keep them safe.
all right. So we're gonna reduce the strength of our party a little bit. We're gonna get Zojja and Logan out, which obviously is the right thing to do. That leaves us with what, like 5 people? Me, Bram. Well, we gained Caithe. It would be 5. With me, Bram, Canuck, Marjorie, and Retlock, but we've gained Caithe. Not something I would have chosen, but we didn't seem to have much of a choice in that. It isn't out of character whether or not you like her character, and I certainly do not, and I've made that pretty clear. But whether you like her character or not, it is not out of character for Caithe to be here because of her relationship with Fallon. For her to be pursuing the Mordrem that Fallon has become would be, clearly very much within her character.
Feel the fury.
So if you take a look at the map here, and I did already shoot a video. I'm gonna actually publish it after we're done with the Heart of Thorns playthrough as kind of a bonus, because what we're getting ready to do in the next instance will happen simultaneously with a meta event for Dragonstand. But what I really want to talk about here is this. So we began the instance basically right here, even though on the map we started it like up here. It actually like begins kind of up here-ish, and we come down like this and along here. This is what's going on here. All right. This is notable because it's not one of the 3 lanes, right? For the meta event. The lanes are, well, they follow the waypoints, right? So one lane runs along here. That is south lane. That waypoint, that waypoint, that waypoint. Mid lane, this waypoint, this waypoint, this waypoint. And north, this waypoint, this waypoint, this waypoint. So what then is this? Well, it serves the function of, this instance, the personal story, as we advance on Mordremoth. And we're going to move along here and so forth. In fact, we can see our next little checkpoints right here as we come up this way. We'll kind of move here by jumping rock to rock and so forth. Obviously, the path leads us ultimately to here, keeping in mind that in Dragonstand, the final battle with Mordremoth takes place throughout here. So there's a lot of synchronicity there. But there's been there was a lot of talk when Heart of Thorns came out, and you'll remember when we were doing like the prisoner rescue thing, there were Nightmare Court among the prisoners, and I talked a lot about how it's logical that Nightmare Court would be part of this and should be part of this, and why aren't they, why don't they figure more prominently? And the story goes that ArenaNet wanted Nightmare Court to be much more heavily involved in this story, but did not have the resources to make it happen and still release Heart of Thorns in a timely fashion. I genuinely don't know, and I have no intention on like doing my homework on it right now. Like, it's just not worth like the investigating. In terms of like whether or not that was confirmed by the studio or whether that's a fan theory. I'm under the impression that it's like either confirmed by the studio or has like a lot of supporting sort of suggestion from the studio.
You slaughter Zojja's children so easily. They were so beautiful. So much better than their mother.
They're monsters! Don't you see? Harmony is coming, and you will join Mordremoth. Your harmony is slavery, and we will not stand for it.
Kind of fun, because that is kind of what like every like totalitarian state and so forth kind of advertises is true harmony in exchange for any sort of free will or independent thought and so forth. And so we see Mordremoth very much doing that as well, right? Anyway, so in theory, as the story goes, this was going to be the path for Nightmare Court, and there were going to be 4 lanes or whatever. I don't know 100% how that checks out, since this path doesn't really start until you're basically in NASCAR phase for South Lane. Um, I don't know that this should be viewed as anything more than a mechanism for this instance, for the story. I do very much believe that there was intended to be a much stronger Nightmare Court presence within the Heart of Thorns story. I don't know that I believe that there's anything about the Dragonstam map that suggests there was ever going to be 4 lanes. I think the Dragonstam map was always intended to have 3 lanes. Maybe one of them was going to be a Nightmare Court specific lane and ended up looking different. I 100% would buy that. I don't necessarily buy, based on the construction of the map, that this path that we're on was a 4th lane. It just doesn't... there's nothing about this that really makes a ton of sense in that regard. I mean, look at the lane carries us past where, this being where you would... And it's a cool view. When we do the Dragonstam video, you'll see, like, this is where the fight takes place, right? But it's something that could have happened, should have happened. There's room there for, like, a really interesting fractal.
You may have uprooted Zojja and Logan, but you'll never make it to Trahearn. He'll have the pleasure of following his true master.
He'd rather die than serve you.
Soon, you won't be able to tell the difference. Soon, he'll become part of us.
So in fairness, you can make the argument that Mordremoth is the Sylvari's true master. Not that it's a good thing, but as Canuck once said it, I'm not saying it. Nature is, right? One of my favorite lines from the game. Sylvari are of Mordremoth. Like that's pretty rock solid within the lore. So yeah, you can make that argument. Anyway,
Let me fight. I can help you reach Trahearn.
shut up, Caithe.
I only want to kill the dragon. Its death might kill me, the entire Savari people, but that's better than living in its grasp. It's the only end I've been working toward.
Fine. But you cross me again, you'll join Fallon on her trip to the Mists.
Yeah, I don't even know why we would entertain that, honestly. Unless it's based off, Caithe during... If you were Sylvari, it'd make a lot more sense. If you're not Sylvari, then you have to assume that the player played the story mode dungeons. If the player is not Sylvari and did not play the story mode dungeons, then that just doesn't make any sense. There's no benefit to allowing Caithe to join us. We have 0 trust in her, and we're going into what will be the most perilous fight that the commanders encountered thus far. And honestly, one of the harder encounters in the game. In terms of personal story, I should be clear on that. So I've mentioned a few times that for all the things I think are weaknesses on ArenaNet's part, their environment design, like creating not just world building in terms of lore and like, what is this place of Tyria, but the actual physical like areas that we play in are often extraordinary. This is a great example. So essentially we have like this double helix that goes all the way up, so it looks very like it looks like a giant strand of DNA, and I don't think that's any accident. I don't know that we want to like extrapolate off that too much in terms of the story, but I do think 100% it is intended to look like like this giant strand of DNA, if only because it's a very cool design thing. And for it to be, for the entire thing, for us to be able to scale up it while it's rotating like this, is pretty cool. And I think by Guild Wars 2 standards, particularly at the time this was released, a pretty impressive accomplishment on the part of the studio in terms of what they were able to do. Now, it does have some weird side effects based on the way they did it. So if we just stand here, it's going to slowly turn our field of vision away from what we're doing, which is kind of a weird thing. And actually, it moves us slightly as well. You can't really tell when I'm just standing right here, but if we were to come out here and stand like right on the edge of this, you would see us slowly shift and begin to like almost fall off. It would take numerous rotations in terms of this giant construct for us to fall. But you do, like there are a couple times I've been in this instance and I've had to go AFK for some reason. And in order to avoid these AoEs that appear on the path here,
I feel Mordremoth's eyes bearing down upon me.
Where is the beast? I want to meet eyes with the jungle overlord.
It's not one thing out here, Bram. It's everything. The entire time we were traversing the jungle, we were afoot on its back, like fleas on a hound.
If that's the case, then...
Bram,
I know it doesn't hurt it. It's something I had to do.
What will hurt you? This thing looks pretty solid. We'll figure it out. But right now, we have to free Traherne from whatever fate Mordremoth has in store for him here.
Okay, sorry. So I wanted to make sure we caught that dialogue. It's an intriguing idea that Mordremoth is in fact the entire jungle, but at the same time, you know, it just doesn't work that well, because at the end of the day, like, we're still gonna go fight a Mordremoth thing, you know. Anyway, like I was saying, if you decide to go AFK and you come and you stand, now obviously at times it's gonna clip with the environment anyway in some places. But if you stand out on the edge of some of these, then you'll just fall because of like a gradual movement. Your player character will gradually move a tiny bit at a time. But you don't want to stand in those AoEs, either. Those will damage you. So of course you come out here, you go AFK, and then you come back to realize that you're like standing right out here on the edge or some nonsense like that. Assuming that you haven't been knocked off by, you know, as you get higher, I think the chances of you clipping with some of this stuff gets higher. Anyway, so yeah, that's cool that the dragon is all the jungle. It doesn't necessarily contradict with the final instance, which we'll start here in a minute. I think we're good on time to go ahead and do both instances today. If we do real well on Mordremoth, maybe we'll even throw them in the same video. It does kind of contradict with the meta event, though, because the meta event you very clearly have like this big thing that you are fighting. That's fine, you know, whatever. You know, it's certainly not the most egregious thing that they've ever done in terms of the story seemingly being a little contradictory or something like that. And it's pretty manageable. So we are coming up here. Let's see. Are we actually going to run into something right up here? Right there a little bit, but I think we're good. All right.
You cannot stop the inevitable. You cannot silence the pulse of this world. Traherne is ours.
Not while any of us still breathe.
You can't run forever, Fallon.
Feel the furies.
Mother, do give her a rest.
Ah, that's a nice touch. How have I
She will be avenged today.
I know there are differences, but I hope she didn't think I was a thorn in her side.
I had completely forgotten that dialogue between Fallon and Bram. That's fun. That's a fun touch. Let's go ahead and talk some crap to Bram. I mean, at the end of the day, it's good for him. Oh, and now she's just going to wander off into the... She'll come back out of there eventually, I think. We can help out by pulling our pet back. Maybe? There we go. That was some nonsense. I've actually not had that be a problem before. It doesn't surprise me that it happened, but it is my first time encountering it.
You still don't understand. There was never Fallon. There was never Caithe. There was never Traherne. There was always Mordremoth.
Oh, I didn't realize I was standing in that AoE because it blended in with the environment. That's a bummer. Now I'm gonna go down.
I don't care the
Or die, rather.
The dragon
Alright. Let's not waste any time. Let's continue forward.
In life
Um,
or death.
so we'll take care of... So, this isn't really the fight where I should be dying. Because the Mordremoth fight is considerably harder. This is actually a pretty trivial fight. I just wasn't paying attention where I was standing there. It can also be a very fast fight if you're on a class where you're able to deliver a lot of damage like real fast, which I'm just a bad ranger. All right, take that, Fallon. Oh look, it's Traherne. Alright, so there he went.
No, Traherne.
Not even a firstborn deserves that.
Caithe, are you?
Fine.
I made peace with Fallon's death when I saw what she'd become.
I'm right behind you. Just give me a moment to destroy her body. The rest of you with me. Time to end this.
Alright, I think we should. I think we should go straight ahead and end it. Vipers is clearly the choice we want to make here. We'll go ahead and take that mastery point. Okay, so there should be... Oh, no, you know what? The dialogue's when we come out of here. Boop. Alright, so we got some folks to talk to here. Let's go ahead and talk to them. Oh, Caithe. My favorite person. What do you think of this corpse? We have a common goal. Can we set aside any mistrust? No. I have a question for you. Why didn't you confide in me? My wild hunt nearly suffocated me with the weight of its importance. I was so afraid I'd fail. I felt like I could only trust myself, but in the end, the egg didn't choose me. It chose you. You know, like... Alright, man. Whatever. I'm not going to go off on this. Like, it's just a bad character. Two bad characters actually talking, because the commander's a really terrible character, too. Yeah, don't know when I'll receive my next wild hunt. Do they get, like, queued up? Like, is there some kind of, like, you know, like message system that's, like, part of Sylvari Incorporated? And it'll pop up on our desktop, like, hey, new task. Because we're definitely not under that. Why does she still have the green thing? Alright, whatever. You know, every other Sylvari that we meet who, you know, talks about their wild hunt gives no indication of another one popping up. That's, as far as I recall, that's an exclusive thing. I spent much of my life hating the Firstborn, as you should, as is appropriate, always being compared to them. In our mother's eyes, Traherne was perfect, and none of us could live up to him. But now, your opinion has changed. So the answer should be no. If anything, you know, the destruction of Traherne and other Firstborn, Fallon as well, Fallon was Firstborn as well, and Caithe, for all her foibles, this should all demonstrate that the Firstborn are actually, like, nothing significant in any way, and in fact, you know, all Sylvari are equal, but that would really kind of run contrary to kind of everything that the Sylvari are all about. They're a very stratified culture. With Mordremoth pounding against my willpower, I'm barely holding on, and yet Traherne, he flew his airship straight at it. I can only admire him now. We must find him. Okay, I mean, I guess Canuck, but whereas Traherne just skated in on an airship, you've slogged through step by step with a commander who must be insufferable. So, I kind of think what you've done is more admirable. We won't abandon him. I worry that it's already too late. Mordremoth will have his hooks in Traherne's body and mind much deeper than it will Zojja and Logan. It's what we Sylvari were designed for. I think that's like a pretty significant dialogue right there, right? Now, if you wanted to like defend some sort of other take on the lore, oh, you know, it was all a big lie from Mordremoth, and the Sylvari are actually independent and not a minion of Mordremoth, or whatever the case may be. I guess you could go down that road, but you have to discount then dialogue from every Sylvari that we talk about too. You have to say like all these Sylvari were then deceived. Yeah, I mean, if that's the stance you want to take, like, that's cool, whatever. I don't got a trace plant in me, but up here, even I can feel the buzz under my fur. We're near Mordremoth's heart. Yeah, its magic's influence is strong. I got close enough to blow kisses at both Zaitan and Kralkatorrik. But I feel Mordremoth's presence more strongly. It's eerily potent. So, it does seem more powerful than Zaitan. Now Ritlock's going to get kind of worked up about all the buddies he's lost, which is kind of anti-char, but... I mean, I guess personal bonds being what they are. And it's not that the Char don't care about their comrades they lose in battle and stuff. We actually see, both culturally and individually a number of examples of Char caring. So it's not, I guess it's not completely un-Char for him to care about fallen comrades. I'm not sure how to feel. This is a culmination of everything we've worked towards over the past 2 years. So I guess in saying that, what they're saying is like all of season 2, and then the content gap, and then Heart of Thorns drops, right? I feel nervous and anxious, and I feel ready to bury Belinda's sword deep into Mordremoth's heart. Belinda's memory, I'll see you through the coming battle. I've lost people before, but Belinda, I wasn't prepared for how deeply her loss wounded me. She was family, my sister, a part of me. That's why we keep on fighting, so no one else has to lose a part of themselves. Okay, yeah, I like that. I like it. Just say the word, boss. Just say the word, boss. We'll teach that dragon a thing or two about suffering. All right. Well, let's do it. So the battle against Mordremoth takes place down here. If I remember right, there's an achievement for like jumping down and not hitting any of these on the way down, which is actually really hard to do. So I'm probably gonna die. Let's try it. I think I have to land there. Or maybe I just didn't do something right. Under any circumstances. Or maybe I'm wrong about the achievement. Let's move forward. Let's confront. This is interesting artwork. It looks nothing like what's going to happen. But it's cool artwork. I do love how the instance starts with you plunging down here. And they didn't, gliding was part of this expansion, right? So, heck man, glide. Or fall and die. I have, fallen and died because I just wasn't paying attention. It has happened.
Mordremoth didn't even try to cover its tracks. Either this is a trap, or the dragon's getting desperate.
Doesn't matter. Trahern's here, and even if he is just bait, he'll still lead us to Mordremoth.
You've made it this far. Are you ready for one last push?
I am. I will never be the dragon's slave.
We should have some. There we go. Yeah, we got some Mordrem popping out at us.
Feel the fury.
So once we get these Mordrem taken care of, then we'll take a quick look at kind of where, in terms of the map, we are.
Looks like there's only one way forward.
Let's move then. Stick close. We don't know what's down here.
So. Oh, do we not get to... Huh. Well, that's something. Okay. Huh. Alright. Well, we don't get to know where we are. I thought it actually showed us on the map where we are. Under any circumstances, let's talk about when we are. So, and I'm going to show this in the video that I'll release after this. The Dragon Slam meta event playthrough. While this is happening, that meta event is happening simultaneously. So within, me as the player, I don't know what he said, but it sounded really rude.
Focused on the battles outside. We'll never get a better chance.
Okay, so that was Caithe saying that the dragon's focused on the battles outside. The battles outside being the Dragon Slam meta event. So the idea is that battle is raging, and as a result, we have an opportunity to strike because the dragon is distracted, it is fatigued, it is whatever else.
Marshal Trahern, can you hear me?
By the way, if we had hit these traps, it would have triggered a whole variety of Mordrems, so it's much easier if you take the time to dodge traps. Or, kill them all. I mean, go bananas. So here we are. We're doing this right now. And as the, main commander, right? How do I know I'm the main commander? Because I'm the one playing. If you're the one playing, you're the main commander. And all the other commanders are just members of the pact, right? All these oddly dressed, Char with pink hair and Sylvari who think that they're like elf kings and all these different things. All these folks who are members of the pact. And then the main commander is taking these folks to confront Mordremoth within the dream, which we're going to get here in just a second. So let's move forward and chat with Traherne.
Commander, the pact, is it?
All but gone, Marshal. But my team and I will finish this.
It's too late. I know. I am part of the jungle dragon now. It is everywhere.
So how do we kill it? Burn every field, fell every forest?
No, it can't be defeated that way. It'll just grow back. Its roots have spread too far, too deep.
Then we destroy the root, Mordremoth's mind. Its strongest attacks come from its mind, from the dream. That's our target.
Sound strategy, Commander. Turn the tables and attack the dragon the same way it's been attacking us. Brilliant. You don't need a translator to understand that. The dragon doesn't like this idea.
Yes. Strike at the dragon's mind through the dream. It can work. And my connection will provide the access you need.
The Radanovans said each Elder Dragon has a weak spot. We just identified Mordremoth's.
I'm ready. If I concentrate, I can open a path into the dream, into Mordremoth's mind. Your minds will make the journey, but your bodies will remain here in the cavern.
I've seen enough metaphysical landscapes lately. I'll stay behind to keep the Mordrem at bay.
I'll stay too. If something goes wrong, or Traherne isn't what he seems to be, I'll be standing by.
All right, 3 of us go in. 3 stay behind.
Okay, so we get to choose 2 out of these 3. Bram, Caithe, Canuck. There was a time when folks definitely like had an opinion on which ones were the easiest and so forth. I don't know that these days it matters all that much. I know that I loathe Caithe, and thus I'm not going to bring her with me. And also as a force of habit, almost every time on my main account, I've done a variety of them, for reasons. I think there's even is there an achievement for doing all 3? There might be. I don't know. I don't remember exactly. But certainly, at some point I wanted to see each one and what they look like as well. These days, I go with Bram and Canuck because those are the ones I know the best. So before I choose them, though, a quick note on our battle with Mordremoth here. I'm not very good at it. I'm probably going to die. I guess that's the quick note. It is a pretty challenging encounter, and it can also be a buggy encounter. There are some mechanics in the battle with Mordremoth that sometimes don't work exactly as intended. They've cleaned it up a lot. It's a lot better than it used to be. It used to be immensely frustrating, where honestly like 50% of the time that you ran this instance, there would be a problem of some sort. And it was incredibly problematic if you were trying to get the migraine achievement, which was like a hard mode for this instance. I did ultimately get it, but one of my friends that I was doing it with, she did not get it because she got disconnected like during the fight, but not disconnected like it was like a bug thing. It wasn't that her computer just disconnected. I mean, both her and her husband were in the instance together along with me and a couple other folks, and she got the bug and he didn't. He got the achievement, she didn't. She was understandably very frustrated about that because it's challenging. They've cleaned it up a lot, but it still is buggy and it can be difficult. And each of these has like their own specific mechanics, and I'm a little rusty at it. So we're gonna see how it goes. If I die, cut me some slack. All right. Bram wants vengeance for her mom. I'm on board. Let's do it, Bram. Let's honor heir. Why not? Even though you didn't know your mom really.
Strong enough to make it this far. Don't leave me behind now.
Well, I find you immensely likable, Canuck, and you have made it this far. So, put me to work, Commander. You know what I'm capable of. I do, and you're coming along. So suck it up, Caithe.
I swear by the Pale Tree, none of you are being taken by the dragon on my watch.
Taking on an elder dragon and all its hordes. Just like old times, eh, Ritlock?
Exactly like old times. which means you stay where I can see you.
Ah, that's good dialogue from Ritlock. If I remember correctly, each one of them has their own respective dialogue if they're the one who goes down here to join the other two. Alright. Side note, when Kanak's sword here, this chain sword, was released in the gem store, I thought it was a great, great buy. I think it's a really good skin. There's been a lot of skins since then, so it's kind of lost some of its shine, but it has some really cool animations, especially if you're like a Mesmer, because of Sword 2 on Mesmer. Like that is a fantastic skin. Alright, turn. We are ready to battle Mordremoth.
You should not have come here. I am everywhere. I am all.
Only in your mind, and I will reduce your mind to ashes before I'm done.
Bold words, but empty ones.
Thanks to you, my legend ended in failure. Fallen, forgotten, and far from home. I'm done listening to these lies. You're not my mother. You're Mordremoth's toy. Come on!
Yeah, good stuff. Okay, so the mechanic for this one is actually relatively simple. So Air's gonna try and kill us while we're fighting Garm. We could just fight Air. That would be a huge waste of time. Fight Garm. When Garm goes down here in just a second... Ooh, get off that. So she basically does the Mordremoth sniper thing, right? Alright, now, while he's down, she's gonna try and get him back up. And we just need to do as much damage to her as we can. This is where, like, having a huge damage spike is super useful. Probably Soul Beast has a huge damage spike, and I'm just not utilizing it properly. I suppose Longbow probably is more likely to have that damage spike than the Axes. What you want to do is, while she's rezzing Garm, and I failed to do it this time properly, while she's rezzing Garm, you want to break her break bar. And what's face? Bram did do that for me, but I didn't actually do a good job of it myself. So let's see here. Oh, I'm standing in that fire like an idiot. So on Reaper, this is a 2 burn. You burn it. This is very easy, and I think probably with the right spec, you know, if I were Untamed instead of Soul Beast, or if I was just a better Soul Beast, then probably it would be a 2 burn for me right now as well. Unfortunately, that's not the case. Do I want to use that? Oh, well, I wasted it. So if you have the achievements, these mushrooms are tremendously helpful. I might have Speed Mushroom, actually, on this account. I don't remember if we got it yet or not. Nope. Alright, let's take care of Garm here. So you can see we are still inflicting damage on her. It's just, you know, lessened by the fact that she's, you know, in a state where she does, or, you know, where we do less damage. If we can get her bar down like that, we got her over here resin Garm, and we get her bar down, then she takes a lot more damage. She might actually go down now, but if we just concentrated on her, we might be. What is she at? It's kind of 6-1 way half, doesn't it? Maybe we should just kill Garm. Nah, we'll just get her. There we go.
Is this another trick?
She does not look
There,
normal,
a rift opened.
Bram.
Maybe now we can break Mordremoth's illusion. Let's widen the rift. The more we crack open this nightmare, the weaker Mordremoth becomes.
So this concept of like cracking these rifts open is going to be something we're going to see repeatedly throughout our battle with Mordremoth. Various stages.
Commander, at the end there, she seemed like herself again.
That's because we overcame Mordremoth's illusion. And the real heir would be proud of how you did it.
Okay.
Someplace new.
That's actually going to raise like a really interesting question as we move forward. And I've talked about this with the mists, and it actually gets a much worse in the mists as we advance through the story. The question of, are these things illusions? Are these things echoes?
Who are you supposed to be?
I am you, what you were meant to be, what you will be. Mordremoth's loyal servant, and gladly so. You are strong, but lack focus. So you seek a master. Mordremoth is that master.
Is this a joke? My will has always been my own. I seek no master and never have. I am no one's servant.
Oh? Countess Anise would disagree.
Haha.
Accept the truth. Mordremoth needs servants, and you were born to serve.
No. To redeem myself, I choose to serve, as I choose to kill you now.
So at this point, right, it definitely appears that these are like illusions, or we can see that we can see how that. Oh yeah, this guy. My biggest weakness is reflex, particularly when I'm a ranger, but in general, like I just suck against reflex. So we can see where, like, at this point, this could be perceived as an illusion. Later on, though, in our battle against Mordremoth, there's going to be some other stuff that takes place that suggests that, in fact, these illusions are more than just illusions. They're more like, oh man, they're more like separate. They're like some kind of variations of certain individuals. We'll see it later. It'll be clear when we get to that point.
Mordremoth's squeezing hard, but I won't break. Get behind me, Commander. I'll deflect the grenades.
Feel the fury.
All right. So, Caithe here is battling himself, because his feelings regarding, who and what he is kind of one of his greatest obstacles, right? Or that's what, kind of how this is meant to present itself. Oh, come on, man. That... Should we go, see if we can get a few more. Oh, is he done reflecting? So Caithe is actually like one of the big keys to doing this properly. Shield up, buddy. He can only reflect certain things, though. The big AoEs, he can't reflect. So like now, we're going to get out of here, because he wouldn't have been able to reflect that. You could do this, in theory, without ever utilizing Caithe's help. However, I have actually broken the instance doing that, and I was pretty unhappy with that.
Block the fire grenades. Can't think. Is Mordremoth affecting me? Sorry, Commander. I'm doing my best.
You're doing great, buddy. Keep it up. I'm not doing so good, though. That was kind of stupid. Throw your shield up again. We'll do some more bouncy stuff. There you go. I like it. Hopefully it's not fire. Oh, is he dazed? I must accidentally. Oh, man. Not good. Oh, that's fire. Alright, 25%. So now it's going to change a little bit.
Still with us, Caithe?
It's too much. Can't control myself. Can't trust myself.
Alright, so we're going to grab Canuck's shield. And now it's going to work the same, except we're going to create the shield ourselves. And we're going to deflect stuff back at... Hey, put that down, man. In order to break Canuck's break bar. Oh, and he's going to reflect stuff back on me too, because we all love reflex. He doesn't like melee. If you get right up on him, then he'll do that thing where he kind of hits you with a quick melee attack and bounds back. Just, he likes to stay at range from you. I actually prefer to stay at range from him as well. But, of course, the reflect then becomes the issue.
I will never be you, and soon you won't be at all.
Hold on. I've seen this before. We need to open the rift to weaken Mordremoth's mind and disrupt its control.
Very well. I've done my best to kill you and me. I remain ready to eliminate this version.
Alright.
I was strong enough to change what I was. I will be strong enough not to become that.
If we
We'll
fight
have to
harder,
hit much harder.
Mordremoth can't maintain its illusions.
We're weakening it. Breaking its grip on the mindscape gives us the chance to take control. Our minds have power here too. Let's use it.
Thank you for trusting my strength, Commander. And for lending me yours.
You earned it. In my world, a willful comrade is always better than an obedient puppet.
I am the only possible victor. Become part of me and endure. Or fall forever into oblivion. We are the same. Let your mind emerge with mine.
Never. We are nothing alike. You make slaves. I make allies. Feel the fury.
Alright, so now we see Mordremoth in this form. What I would not want someone to do, though, is get the impression that, like, this is what Mordremoth looks like. I think that would be an erroneous assumption. I think, remember, we are in the dream or in, some sort of, mindscape, they called it a second ago. That's cool. So probably we should perceive this as how Mordremoth has chosen to present himself, or how Mordremoth needs to present himself in order to have the influence that he wants to have, or have the impact that he wants to have.
Magic wasn't enough. Mordremoth took us all.
Gridlock? No. This is a trick like before. Open it! We need to crack this illusion and weaken Mordremoth's control.
Real important during this phase that you stay on the move,
Time to do some real damage.
because those things keep getting shot at you. While you work down, hey man, there we go. While you work down the various things that you confront.
Open, boss. Show 'em how it's done.
Now we're gonna wait until. Oh, did he just move? All right, we'll go ahead and open this thing up then. Sometimes it's best to let him fire one of those in a direction other than the rift, so that you can then immediately open the rift.
Get ready to bleed.
Oh man.
We are taking control. The Ridlock copy didn't vanish. It joined us.
Yeah, so that's one of the things that's kind of weird, is we're turning those illusions to our favor. Like, how does... Oh, man. Reflex. So, yeah, I'm not saying that means that those illusions are, like, sentient in some way or something like that. Only that it's kind of a weird thing. That, oh, now they work for us because we smacked them in the face. Alright, man. That's cool.
Feel the fury.
we should be getting... Ah, there we go.
Boss. We're all part of the dragon
I
now.
don't feel like it's too late, Marjorie. Things that slow them down, if you can like chill them and stuff, then that's real helpful. You know, cripple, immobilize, you know, crowd control skills against these phantoms are quite... Oh, I walked right into that because he moved. Quite helpful things to keep those guys kind of off your back a little bit.
It's open. Go.
Alright, so we're going to wait for him to fire one, like, there we go. And then we'll hit it. That just buys you time, because now it'll activate, you know, and still give us time to get out of the way of the next one.
Thanks, boss. Now we end this.
I would love to end this because it's a pain. Okay, this is one of the things that tends to bug quite badly. Sometimes you simply don't get launched when you run into the little updraft. And then it used to be that randomly, as a bug, not anything that the player could do about it, these updrafts would actually launch people right out of the map. Real problematic, especially on when pursuing the migraine achievement. Ooh, we want to get out of that.
Still standing. Barely.
Kind of wish I had a touch more health. Oh. Ah, that's a disappointment. So the biggest thing hurting us right now, and is 100% like related to my skill level, is I'm not inflicting nearly enough damage. You need less sustain when you inflict more damage. I would be getting him to phase faster. I'd be spending less time on the defensive. I wouldn't be like, I really need my heal to you know, to come off cooldown. Like, I'd be just inflicting the damage that I need to inflict. And that's not happening the way I would like. I'm not nearly inflicting the damage that I'd like. Is she immune to crowd control? I didn't remember that Caithe was immune to crowd control. That's interesting. That's all right. Let's finish Caithe up here. There we go.
Back on track. Let's end this.
All right. So more of the same, and then we'll get like. Oh, that was stupid. We'll get someone else. I forget who the last person is. Right, we've got the three people who are defending. Oh, I think it's Traherne. We'll get a Traherne ghosty kind of guy as well, and then oh man, and then the opportunity to try and push to the next phase, because we'll get another set of drafts. Oh, no, it's our mentor. I thought it was Traherne for some reason. Hey, Forgal, what's up, buddy? Oh, is it already?
Can't lose any more soldiers.
That's the spirit, Forgal. Now let's end this.
I like how we're talking to him like he's our buddy.
Here it comes
Alright.
again. Protect yourself.
So again with the updrafts, phase 2 is usually... Now he's going to start throwing rocks at us while we're doing the updraft thing. There is an achievement for successfully not getting hit by any rocks, avoiding all the rocks. Will give you an achievement. It's not one that I successfully get very often, honestly. But if we do get hit by a rock, which we did there, it is hugely problematic for us because it takes The effects on the ground take a ton of our health. Like, it's incredibly damaging to us.
Son of a bitch, you cannot win.
And that also means that we've entered this phase with a lot less health than I would have liked. Oh, man.
Feel the fury.
This is a great example of I wouldn't be waiting for this heal to come off cooldown if I'd inflicted more damage. This is the exact moment where I was kind of talking about there.
Feel the fury.
Okay, we nearly got him to the 25% we want to have him at. No, get out of that. Okay, I think we should have one more updraft.
Cover up or get off the ground.
This is like the worst possible time to get killed too. Hugely frustrating when it happens right here. When you do the updrafts, watch out for that one branch over there. The one that I'm kind of avoiding. This one. It will... That updraft that's underneath it will knock you right back down. So it's like the one updraft that you 100% do not want to use. Alright. So we're going to protect our buddy now who's opening the rift. Who is that? Bram here. We're going to protect Bram. These guys are pretty glassy. They die super easy. There's just a mess of them, so it's kind of still a little bit of a challenge. But it's not like Bram is going to die on us. So this part is almost, you know, as long as we kind of just don't act like an idiot, then this part's kind of not really like a big deal. And it's going to bring us to a burn phase that is a true burn phase, where we're just going to have the opportunity to just smack Mordremoth as hard as we can. Now, with the amount of damage I'm doing right now on this Soul Beast, I'm going to need a couple of those, but you know, we'll get them easy enough, so it's not that big a deal. Kind of want to save my Axe 5 for when we get to the burn, though. Where did Bram go? Bram, where'd you go, buddy? Are you doing your job? I 100% decided to eat that attack rather than try and dodge it just because. Alright, happy times. I kind of wanted to just try and see if we could one burn that. And we did, so. Alright, so finish Mordremoth. We'll just kind of jog over here, deliver the death blow.
What have you done?
And presumably at the same time, our packed allies are killing him in the meta event, right?
You did it. 2 dragons down, 4 to go.
We did it. Mordremoth is dead.
Truly dead. I can't hear its voice in my head. It's completely gone.
And we Silvari are still here. Still us. I wasn't sure.
Commander, my sword, Galad Bolg, is nearby. It was a gift from the Pale Tree. I am connected, bonded to it. Only its power can free me from this. Please, bring it here.
Alright. So that's what we want, right? We want to free Traherne from this.
I have the sword, Marshal.
Quickly now. Use it on me. Kill me, Commander.
What? No. Mordremoth is dead. We destroyed its mind from the inside.
But I still hear its voice. Mordremoth is alive. One last hateful vestige. A terrible seed planted deep in my mind. You must kill me, Commander, before that seed grows. Before Mordremoth reclaims what it has lost. What's left of me can't survive on its own. Strike now or...
I am the future. I am this world. You cannot destroy me. Run.
Alright, so I like this. I like this is a cool touch, right?
I won't let all this be for nothing. Stand back. I'm ending this. Now.
Yay, go team. Alright.
Just one more confirmation of how great I am.
So, if you were to be a... Oh, this is actually... we're going to leave that there because that's actually for later. If you were to play the game chronologically in terms of the story, like we've been doing for the story playthrough, and you wanted or if you're a relatively new player and you had been playing chronologically, you probably wouldn't have advanced super far at this point, right? So there is a possibility that, if you were to fall in that category, that you might not have a ton of ascended. One of the things they give us upon completion of that instance is the broken Kalibbalg, right? So we can see that the blade was broken there. It should be like twice as long, and it's not because it's been broken off. This is what we use to slay Traherne, which again I think is a cool touch. I like it. That can be converted into an ascended weapon. So there is that opportunity there. It's almost like a precursor for an ascended, which is kind of a weird thing, but that's kind of what it functions as. So there are a couple of things of interest that we're going to address real quick before we call it a day. One is something that Caithe said there at the end that is interesting. Whether I like her or not as a character, and very clearly I do not. I've made that pretty obvious. She said yes, and we're still here. The Silvari are not. Whatever might have happened, Silvari didn't stop existing. They didn't lose, like their sentience or their consciousness or whatever. The Silvari are still the same even after the death of Mordremoth. That was a valid question to be asked. When we found out Silvari were the minions of Mordremoth, asking, well, what happens to Silvari if we kill Mordremoth was like a... Oh, come on. It shouldn't be reflecting on this side of the bubble. Lame. That was a valid question. It was one that folks were curious about. And so to have that question answered at the end of the instance there and at the end of Heart of Dragons was important. I do think it was an improvement over any hand waving that might have taken place. It's back up apparently. All right. Or anything like that. Like I think it's good that they addressed it. The other thing that we get in the cutscene there that I think is it's going to set the table for us for season 3 is we see something happening with the egg, right? So like a big part of the the world building for Tyria and for this fight against the dragons and so forth is the idea that like energy can neither be created nor destroyed, right? So in the world of Tyria, like magic can apparently neither be created or destroyed, I guess. Like it's converted. The dragons consume it and thus almost act like capacitors for it because they hold it. But when a dragon dies, it releases that. And so when Mordremoth died, now we didn't see that as Zaitan. That apparently had not been like introduced into the whole, like maybe they hadn't come up with it yet or they just hadn't introduced it yet. But from this point forward, that will be a thing. When these large magical beings, dragons and some other large magical beings, are destroyed, they release their magic that they were like holding within them in whatever capacity, and it is then free to be absorbed. Are you waiting on me? Are you? Okay. It's then free to be absorbed by other creatures, whether it be other dragons, whether it be the commander, and in this case, the egg. So seeing something happen with the egg there isn't just a, it is a, hey, here's some stuff that's going to happen, or it's some foreshadowing for season 3, but more than that, it is also kind of setting the table for a concept that remains constant throughout some of our Guild Wars 2 storytelling going forward. So it is important to note. Now, what exactly that means for us, that we see something taking place there within the egg, and what exactly that is, I'm going to leave right now because we're going to get to that very soon. Season 3 started without any sort of we're accustomed from season 2 and everything we've done thus far we're accustomed to getting like a mail and like some sort of cue that tells us, that the next story is ready to start, or we should open XYZ or do something to start the next story. But that's going to become less common as we go forward. As we enter season 3, it's going to roll pretty seamlessly, especially in Living World, from one thing to the next. So season 3 is already queued up here. This is that mail, that letter that we got, which we'll open up the next video with, and like all this, that's season 3. It's ready to go. So for that reason, let's just go ahead and wrap it up right here. So we have completed Heart of Thorns. We have defeated Mordremoth. We have recovered Logan. We have recovered Zojja. Zojja's in pretty rough shape. Logan seems to be in rough-ish shape. We were forced to kill, in order to finish Mordremoth, we were forced to kill Trahearn, right? But we have victory. Already, they're kind of trying to push Caithe back into, the circle of friends. Hey man, the story in Guild Wars 2 is pretty linear, because that's not where the player is given control, right? Is in the story. The story is linear, and the open world is where the player has control. So it's not it's not a single player game. So we're just gonna have to accept that. But it's pretty nonsense. The egg that we safely secured in Auric Basin and in Trier, there something's going on with that. So as we go forward into season 3, there are a couple things we should be keeping our minds on. I think foremost is the egg. We did hear Ritlock say 2 down, 4 to go as far as the dragons are concerned. So definitely, the pact has been decimated, but is it going to be reconstituted? Is it going to continue to pursue defeating other dragons? And then a lot's happened. A lot's happened in the world, right? The Pale Tree is still severely damaged. We don't know what's happened with Zojja. Like, she's really bad. Air is dead, and we can see that's obviously, I can't hide. Well, I mean, I sort of can hide this, but that's obviously going to be what we're starting season 3 with. So there's a lot to kind of understand where the world is at now and what it means. It'd be a boring game if there wasn't something else popping up, right? So that certainly can be expected, and that's where we'll pick it up with the next portion of our playthrough as we enter season 3, is the new things that we will be taking on. But pleased to be done with Heart of Thorns. We're actually, when you look at core season 1, season 2, Heart of Thorns, that is 4 installments. Then we got season 3, Path of Fire, season 4, Icebrood Saga, End of Dragons. That's 5 installments. So we're almost halfway through the personal story playthrough. Now, in terms of hours, I would say it's closer to 1/3, because some things are going to get a little more time consuming going forward. But still, pretty awesome. So thanks for hanging out with me today, and I look forward to starting my least favorite story in the entire game, Living World Season 3. I'm really excited to just talk a lot of crap about how bad the story is, but also looking forward to the gameplay, because I think the gameplay in Season 3 and the maps in Season 3 have the maps have a lot of charm. They don't have a lot of revisitability. Like that, there's not a lot to bring you back to them. But when you first go through them, they're really cool. They're a lot of fun, and the gameplay is really good. So Season 3 does have some really strong redeeming characteristics, if you will. So yeah, that'll be a blast. Looking forward to it. Thank you, and have a good one.